everybody, and welcome to my April monthly wrap-up. New here, my name's Hannah. I'm the creator at Bookshelvish. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Substack, and then of course, good old YouTube. I post primarily book content with like a little bit of lifestyle, but my lifestyle is like sort of girly, sort of dirtbag, so do with that what you will. We're gonna pop right into it. So first I'm gonna go through some stats. This is every single book that I read in April. And I know I'm filming this kind of late. It is May 17th. It is what it is. This is actually my 3-year anniversary for Bookstagram, which is kind of what marked my really big foray back into reading as an adult. So it's an exciting day. Let's jump right into it. So in the month of April, I read a total of 15 books. I have kind of a soft goal of 17, which I haven't really met more than once this year so far. It's not a big deal if I don't hit it. I do think that there's been a lot going on. I'm in the middle of moving. I am kind of thinking through possibly switching jobs. And so there's just a lot of stress and different things going on in life. So I feel like I haven't been reading as much in April and then now currently in May when I'm filming this. So we're working on it. Hang in there, fam. Okay, my top moods, and I'll pop these up here so that you can kind of see the graphics I'm looking at. These are all pulled from the Storygraph, which is one of my favorite book tracking apps. My top moods were emotional, adventurous, tense, funny, and dark. I feel like those are all usually pretty high moods for me, so that's not really surprising. For pace, I had a majority medium paced, 69%, and 8% slow and 23% fast. So I feel like that's pretty normal. I'm kind of shocked that I read a slow-paced book, to be honest, because I don't like them. Let's see what it was. Slow-paced was The Undoing of Violet Claiborne, which was in fact slow. For page count, I had 13% 500 plus, 13% under 300, and then 73% in that sweet spot of 300 to 499 pages. I read 100% fiction, and a majority of my genres, so 10, were romance, contemporary, and fantasy were also pretty high. Young adult followed that, and then we've got 2 or less of mystery, historical, and magical realism. For format, my majority this month was audio at 40%. I had 33% digital and 27% print. Ratings, we've got 3 5 stars, 7 4 stars, 4 3 stars, and 1 2 star with an average rating of 3.8, which was also my average rating in March, so I'm being very consistent. And then I read 5,773 pages in April overall. So now we're gonna jump into each book that I read in order, and then what my rating for it was. So the first book I read this month, let's do some actual stats too for what I read. So my total TBR at the end of April was 712 books, which did go up from last month. I unhauled 2 books. I read 6 arcs, which is pretty high for me in a single month, and that's also why my TBR went up, because I wasn't reading as much off of it. I read 15 books in total. 8 were off my shelf. 1 was a reread. 17 books were acquired, which is a lot of books, but it's the least amount of books I've acquired in a single month this year. So technically I am improving. Now let's get into what I actually read. So my first read of the month was an arc of The Love Haters by Catherine Center. I gave this book 3 stars. I am a huge Catherine Center stan. So this is coming from a place of genuine high expectations and I think disappointment a bit on my end. So this was probably my second to least, if not least favorite book I've read of hers. And it's for a pretty simple reason that kind of bled out into everything. So one big focus of this book was definitely the FMC kind of coming into her own as a person and figuring out where she puts her worth and her value. And so a lot of that was in her body image. And so there was a lot of conversation in this book around beauty, around weight loss, around feeling big or whatever. And I think those are important topics. So it's not that I don't like to read about them, because I can. I just feel like the way that they were handled almost was too superficial. She had this like bumbling best friend that almost like her entire contribution was like, oh, you just need to figure out things that you do love about yourself. And it's like, that's not super helpful to someone who hates themselves. She asked her friend at the end of it, like, oh, well, what are the 3 things that like you love about yourself? And she's like, well, I love everything about myself. And it was supposed to be like this mic drop moment. And instead I was kind of just like, what the heck? Like, I don't know. I don't think I really vibed with it. And because that wasn't handled super well, I feel like I wasn't connecting to the main character very much. And that made the romance feel a little bit disjointed and kind of shallow too. I didn't love the male main character. I thought he was really strange. And then there was this whole side plot with like his brother, who's the female main character's friend, and like a fake engagement, but it was a weird fake engagement. It's just, yeah, it wasn't my favorite Catherine Center. I would say, sorry if you can hear my dog panting. He's standing like right behind my camera. My very two favorite Catherine Centers are Happiness for Beginners and the Rom-Commers. And so it's not even a case of like, oh, her new books are going downhill for me, because I loved the Rom-Commers. This one kind of was reminiscent of Everyone is Beautiful, which is one of her way backlist books that I read a couple of years ago. And I wasn't super impressed with that one either, but that had a lot of body image from the perspective of motherhood. I'm not a mom yet, so I think if I had been, maybe I would have connected more with those pieces. But then I did talk to my friend Megan about it, and she wasn't into it either. Overall, this one was kind of a bummer for me, but I am glad I read it. It comes out May 20th, I believe. You'll definitely be able to come get it and read it for yourself by the time this video releases, but that is The Love Haters by Catherine Center. Next up, I read The Amalfi Curse by Sarah Penner. This is also an ARC. This has already released. It released at the end of April. Really enjoyed this book. Also, it's easily one of the like most beautiful books that Barnes Noble is selling right now. It's got this like really gorgeous sprayed edge. I don't think I liked it enough to actually go and buy it myself, because I already have so many other books that I need to be reading. If I hadn't read it already, I would have bought it just for the spreads. Like, it's that pretty. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars. My kind of main criticism of this, which I don't think was like terrible, is just that it felt like it was trying to be too much. We had like a multi-timeline, multi-point of view book, and like sometimes I don't really do very well with these, but I did think Sarah Penner did a good job. This is my first Sarah Penner book. I have The London Seance Society and The Last Apothecary, but I have not read either one of them yet. This was part historical fiction, part romance, part magical realism, part mystery. Like, there was just a lot going on in it, and I think that'll work really well as like a genre mashup if you're into that kind of thing. I'm typically not, but I still liked it. I do think she did a good job, and the Italy coastal vibes were just immaculate. I tend to love anything that has even like a slight involvement with pirates, and so this worked for me just because of the subject matter. There would have had to be so many things wrong with it for me to not enjoy it, but I do think she's a great author. I think this was a lot of fun. I think it would be a good audiobook, but the physical book, again, is so pretty. I would recommend this one. Next, we have another ARC. This is Heart of the Sun by Mia Sheridan. I believe this releases released at this point, May 20th as well. I didn't like this book. The cover says cute, heartfelt romance to me. What it actually was like Walmart The Last of Us. Like, it was trying really hard to be like a survivalist romance, and that's on me. I did not read the synopsis first, but it really was not my speed, and I felt like the romance was kind of an afterthought, and then it was like we went from 0 to 100 in like the span of 2 pages, and I didn't love it. My only other Mia Sheridan book that I've read is Kyland, and I did like that one much better. And I know people rave about Archer's Voice. I haven't read it. I can't say that I would recommend this one. I gave it 3 stars. Next up, I read Crossed by Emily McIntyre. This is the 5th book in the Never After series. All of these, if you don't know, are loose, like, not retellings, they're reimaginings in a dark romance kind of style of various Disney fairy tales. So this one focused on The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't have a lot of positive things to say about this book. I gave it 2 stars. I think Emily McIntyre is a fine writer, but the actual story of this, the characters of this, the plot was not it. This is definitely the darkest of all of the Never After books up to this point. There's a lot of trigger warnings, so I would really like go and look those up. I don't really like The Hunchback of Notre Dame as like a fairy tale to begin with, so I kind of was already expecting that I would be like about it. I really didn't enjoy this one, but I don't really want to like taint it for you, so I would say look up trigger warnings. There was a hot priest thing going on in here, and I just have no interest. It feels a little bit sacrilegious to me, and I know that's not the case for everybody, so if that's not you, that's awesome. But because of that, I think I was just taken out of the story so much. And there was also this plot line of her brother, the FMC's brother, having special needs issues that I feel like were not handled in a way that I could really appreciate. So this is definitely not going down as one of my favorites. I honestly haven't decided if I'm going to keep this or not. I don't like to get rid of books that are in the middle of series if I'm keeping any other books in the series, but the only one of these books that I gave 5 stars to was Hooked, and I don't even know that Hooked is one that I would reread. So I think I might give the whole series away, honestly. I already have read Hexed as of filming this, the last book book in the series, but my thoughts on that will be in my May wrap up when it comes. I don't know. I would love to hear people's thoughts on this and hear your rankings. Hooked and Twisted are at the top for me. Scarred and Wretched were like meh, and then Crossed and Hexed were really at the bottom. So I feel like this series did go downhill. I know not everybody thinks that. So if you love this one, I love that for you. It was a 2-star for me. Next up, we have The Gilded Cage by Lynette Noni. This is the second book in the Prison Healer trilogy. I really enjoyed The Prison Healer. Everyone said that it would like blow my mind. It was their best book ever. They loved it. You know, why aren't people talking about this YA more? I liked it. I gave it a 4-star. I didn't think I was blown away by it as a lot of people have been. So I was cautiously optimistic about book 2. I ended up giving this a 4-star as well. I did like it though. I think this had SJM syndrome a little bit where we were kind of plugging along and then so much happened in the last like 10% that I almost had to reread just to be like, what went down? There was a lot of side characters that got introduced in this that I thought really furthered the plot and that I really enjoyed getting to know. And this did not suffer from like sophomore slump at all. Like I think the middle book in a trilogy is hard to pace and she did a really good job. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this series. I'm not going to go into much to what I like compared to the first book just to avoid any semblance of spoilers, but I think if you have any interest in YA fantasy, this is a great trilogy to read. And I have since read the last book as well, and I think it ended perfectly. The last book was my favorite by far. So it really has a great trajectory, and yeah, I liked it a lot. Next, I read It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan. This was an arc as well. I believe this is out or is now out as of May 20th. I love Annabelle Monaghan. I've never read a book from her that I haven't given 5 stars. There's one book of hers that I have not read yet though, so maybe that'll change because I hear that's usually people's least favorite. This one was really sweet. This was a 5-star read for me. I think it was my favorite of the month. It's tied for my favorite of the month. It's just really heartfelt. I was like crying the whole way through. I felt very seen by this book. It's about kind of an enemies to lovers situation about main male character who kind of had like a meet cute in LA, and then it turned out that they were working on the same project. They're both in like the film industry, screenwriting, that kind of thing. That interaction, the second one where they're working together, went really poorly and it kind of ruined the meet cute that they had. And so years later, they're put on the same project together and they need to go to, it's like back to New England to try to get in contact with one of the people that they want involved with their project. That's where the male main character's family lives, and so they end up staying with his family. It's like kind of a fake dating scenario. It's a whole thing. So I thought the tropes were really cute. They're ones that really work for me, except for Second Chance. I'm not usually a big Second Chance girl, but this one just worked, if you can really call it a second chance when they only met once earlier. Super cute story. I would highly recommend it if you like romance. If you've liked any of Annabelle Monaghan's previous books, I think this one would hit for you too. The vibes were immaculate on the New England coast too, so there's a lot to like in this book, and I'm excited for everybody who wants to read it. Next, I read Nettle and Bone. I've had this one by T. Kingfisher. I've had this on my TBR for so long. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't think it was a bad book. I think T. Kingfisher is one of the most atmospheric writers ever. She does a great job with that. There's just something I didn't like it, and I almost can't put a finger on why, because again, it wasn't a bad book. I was sort of expecting, based on the marketing, that this was going to be more of a romantasy, and I really didn't feel like it was. It was very heavy on the atmospheric, fantasy, gothic, almost at times getting into like horror adjacent elements. That works for you. This one's really going to work for you. But I do think that every time I've given T. Kingfisher a chance, I feel like I'm just not that into it, and I'm not sure why I can't connect to her stories, because I want to. So I would read this if you have an interest in it, but it's not one that I'm really going to go down remembering, and I'm likely going to put it in my little free library. Next up, we have a trusty reread. For those of you who are new, I'm doing a very slow reread through this year of all of Sarah J. Maas's books with my friend Brie. She's at Brazen and Bookish. You can check her out down below. This is the 4th book in the Throne of Glass series because I recommend Purest Order, but we can talk about that later. This is a 5-star easily. I love this book. It used to be one of my not so favorite ones when I first read the series, but after finishing it, I feel like every reread I just find more in here to love, particularly Manon and Abraxos, Adian, Rowan. I'm so into it. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, I highly recommend you read the series if you haven't already. Next up, we have The Undoing of Violet Claiborne. I got this as an ARC, but I did not read it in time to really say that I ARC read it. This was another one that I felt like was trying to do a lot, and it was really just kind of sad. The audio is fine. the narrator, but it wasn't like amazing, I didn't think. I gave this one 3 stars. I don't know that I would read anything by this author again. This reminded me most closely of Wayward by Amelia Hart, and I loved that book. But this one, I don't know, there's just kind of some weird elements of it. So basically she moves in with her friend. I don't remember why they moved in together, but her friend has 2 older sisters who are like cool. Violet's like enamored. Well, Violet is the youngest sister. The main character, Jillian, is like obsessed with Violet's older sisters. She thinks they're so fun and cool and all this. Something happens, which I won't spoil, and basically it's everybody, no one's sure whose fault it totally is, but likely it's one of the 2 older sisters. But rather than like owning that, they're going to kind of frame Violet for it, essentially, is what it comes down to. So the book is just full of like gaslighting, honestly, and that wasn't super fun to read about for like the whole plot. I'm not super into like mysteries all the time anyway, but this wasn't like a straightforward mystery, because it was also like trying to dabble, sort of like how I was talking about the Amalfi Curse trying to do a lot. This one was trying to do a lot, and it didn't really work out. So it was trying to be like mystery, historical fiction, magical realism, all this. I didn't love it. That's The Undoing of Violet Claiborne. Again, if you want to read it, do not let me discourage you from reading it. I think that it could be a really great book for the right reader, and I was not the right reader. Next, I had an arc of Love of Forever by Terry DeWitt. This is my second Terry DeWitt book, and I really enjoyed it. I gave both Savor It and Left of Forever 4 stars. I think it was really cute. I think it's a really like wholesome small town romance. This one was also a second chance. I don't know why I've been throwing in so many second chance reads this month. Like I said, I'm not a huge second chance girl, and so I think maybe if I had been, that this would hit even harder. I did like it for what it was, but it's not going to be a super memorable book for me, but I still think you should read it if you're a Terry DeWitt fan. So that comes out, I think, May 27th. Next, I read Ledge by Stacey McEwen. I have had this book on my TBR pretty much since it came out, and I've been super excited to read it. I will say this is one of the most unique romanticities that I've ever read. It is not just a cookie cutter blueprint reshuffling of the cards of all of the common tropes today. I feel like Stacey really did a good job thinking through what could be new and different and exciting in this story. That being said, I do think that it was a little bit slow. I feel like there was a lot of buildup and there was a lot of world building, it felt like, but the world itself was not too difficult to understand. And until the end, we really didn't get into like some of the political machinations. And I think if we had gotten some of that earlier, that it would have pulled me in more. I believe I still gave it a 4 star though. It was a good book. I read this with Buddy Read Babes. This was my April book that we led. And so I do think that I will read the rest of the series because I'm very intrigued, but I don't think it'll go down as one of my all-time favorites necessarily. Next, I read The Wandering Wild by Lynette Noni. Thought this was really, really cute. So this is kind of basically the premise is that this rock star is trying to movie star is trying to rehab his image. And so he holds this sweepstakes that a fan can win to go on like a wilderness survival situation for like 4 days with the help of a wilderness wildlife expert, kind of a Steve Irwin or Jeff Corwin type presence. The girl who wins can't go for some reason. So she sends her best friend who has like no interest in this guy at all because she has some like personal issues with what he did that made him lose favor with the fans. Then it turns into like this actual survivalist scenario when some things go wrong on the actual trip. So I thought it was really cute. It is very YA, but I think it's Lynette Noni's first contemporary romance. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me. I love the cover. I thought it was a cute, fun story. It's not something you're going to remember forever, honestly, but I do think that it scratches that itch if you need something a little more lighthearted that's easy to dip in and out of, that you don't necessarily have to invest a lot into. And next, I read The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. I have had this whole series on my TBR as well for a very long time. I have read Part of Your World, Yours Truly, just for the summer, and then I just got Say You'll Remember Me, but I haven't read it yet. And so I'm kind of trying to go through and do her backlist before I get to Say You'll Remember Me. I really liked this book. I know a lot of people say that it's not their favorite, and I did give it 4 stars, which historically all other of the Abby Jimenez books for me have been 5 stars. I had such a good time reading this. I did it on audio. I thought the narrators were awesome. I would really recommend this book. I think Abby Jimenez is just a slam dunk all around for me. Next, I've got The Songbird in the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. I gave this one 4 stars. I don't think it had the same magic as the original Crowns of Nyaxia duology. I love Mish, and I really wanted, I think, more from her story than I got, but I think a lot of it was just that I had an issue with the actual atmosphere. They're in the underworld almost the whole time. It's very dark, it's dreary, it's hellish, and it was was not a fun read for me, I think was the problem. And so I want to keep reading in it. I think Carissa Broadbent is a fantastic fantasy author. The romance was maybe a little bit lackluster for me too, was kind of the problem, and why it wasn't a 5-star, but I do have hope for this series. I do think that she's incapable of writing a bad book. It just wasn't my favorite of the series that I've read so far. That was The Songbird and The Heart of Stone. My last book of April, I think, was my favorite, or at the very least tied with It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan. This book I've had on my TBR for a while, literally since it came out. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but it was nothing like it, and it was amazing. This is The Dagger in the Flame by Catherine Doyle. I think this had like, it was kind of reminiscent of, if you've seen the movie The Prestige, it had a little bit of like Six of Crows in there, but it was also romantic-y, some Throne of Glass, a little bit of When the Moon Hatched. Like, there wasn't magic per se, but the magic system was incredible. It felt a little, maybe like Ninth Housey at times, but it was really funny. Like, I just feel like there was so much in here that worked so well for me. And I don't even know that I could describe why it worked so well, but it was amazing. I put, when I was initially reviewing it, that it was a mashup between Six of Crows, Divine Rivals, some of the kind of enemies to lovers aspects of One for My Enemy, which are all books that I really enjoyed. And I think I'm so excited for the sequel of this one. It did end on a cliffhanger, so if that's something you hate, maybe wait to read this one until we're closer to the sequel coming out. I don't think it's one of those cliffhangers that you're like, I need the next book immediately or I'm gonna explode. Like, I think it's worth reading it now, even if you have to wait for a little bit, just because it's that good. So I hope everyone who likes romantasy reads this. It was so good. So if you take anything from this video, take that you need to read The Dagger in the Flame. That is everything for me today. Tune in next time to see my TBR video for May. For June. And otherwise, that's it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will chat real soon. Thanks for watching.